For Wall Street Media, this is Nikki. I'm here with Doug, and we'll help you make money in the stock market with information you can't find anywhere else.
Hey, Nikki.
Hey.
TGIF.
TGIF.
Oh, boy. What happened today?
It's like a holiday, I feel like. Happy Friday.
Every day here's a holiday,
Okay,
Nikki.
okay. I'll give you that one.
What happened? What do we have?
Well, we have a couple management changes from Liberum. Sunair Services Corporation, SNR, announced that it appointed Jack I. Ruff to serve as its Chief Executive Officer and President effective as of July 25th, 2008. Central Pacific Financial, CPF, announced that Ronald K. Majida, Chairman of the Board of Central Pacific Financial Corp. And Central Pacific Bank, was named President and CEO of the company and the bank. He will continue to serve as Chairman of the Board of both Central Pacific Financial Corp. And Central Pacific Bank. Mace Security International, MACE, announced the appointment of Dennis Rayfield, a veteran security industry executive, as CEO and President of the company commencing August 18th, 2008. We have United Healthcare, UNH, announced the appointment of Catherine Sullivan as CEO, Central Region, and Jeff Lucht as Senior Vice President. Stephen Nelson, who has served as President of AmeriChoice, a United Healthcare sister company, was appointed CEO of United Healthcare's West Region.
Hey, well, the United Health Group at least wasn't a $2 stock, and they're about even with the market today, up a couple cents, and the market's down a couple cents. Super cool stuff. You came and interrupted me thoughtlessly while I was focusing on the beanbags watching Yahoo Shareholder Day.
Never.
Yes, you did, I'm telling. But a good meeting, interesting one. Somebody's insane and somebody's a liar. I'm not sure who, although I suspect it's perhaps the same guy, and his name is Bostock, and he's the chairman of Yahoo. He came out and said that Microsoft were absolutely lying in the media about their attempts to purchase the company, and what he actually said was that their first offer was $31 in half stock. After they made the offer, and the word seeped out about it, and their stock went down, it fell to a value of $28, and that was half stock, and that even though Yahoo repeatedly went to Microsoft and said they did want to sell the company and wanted a solid offer in writing, were ready to sell the company at the right offer. Microsoft never came back to the table and never made them a serious offer. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, German, but I'm calling bullshit on this. I can say bullshit, right? Penn and Teller say bullshit. Anyhow, I call bullshit. But it's the most audacious case of bullshit. I mean, he was slinging it, looked like the German over at the club here on 3rd Avenue. I mean, I haven't seen anybody say such bodacious stuff in a very long time, man. The German, he looked like you and your prime partner, or Greg on any given night. But anyhow,
Greg is from Microsoft.
Yes, he is. Greg is from Microsoft. Let's make sure we get that in. He also tried to tell, there was a guy that got up from a fund that was early on, and I think this is when Nikki was interrupting me. I didn't get to see what fund he's from. It was, but super smart guy, and had great questions, man. And he was saying that, Yahoo's directors are getting paid $500K, and Bostock said, no, that wasn't right, and that was nowhere near enough. He's been working for the past 6 months. That was nowhere near enough compensation. He's been working 26-hour days since then, which would be kind of a neat trick. But anyhow, he said that wasn't what they were paid, and this guy was a pretty smart fellow, and he said that, yeah, that is what you're paid, and it's actually what it says here on your official papers I got from you for the meeting today. And he mentioned that, well, that might sound, he also mentioned that Google, in comparison, perhaps some of you out there have heard of a company called Google. They're also in a competing business with Yahoo, doing not badly, as a matter of fact. And their directors earn $250K. And then there was another little company out there that probably not too many of you are familiar with called Berkshire Hathaway, right? Their directors make a whopping $2,700 a year. See, being on the board of directors is actually supposed to be an honor for someone who's distinguished that you earn it. It's not supposed to be to pay bums that just go along with the party line and don't actually contribute or make any intelligent innovations, thoughts, or strategic initiatives, right? Although Bostock is a case for all three of those. And he also mentioned how Jerry Yang is on the board, obviously, of Yahoo, but also is on the board of Yahoo Japan and Overture, and they made a deal to sell Yahoo Japan 2 overture last year for a whopping $13 million. If you wanted to ask what their yearly revenues were, that would be $395 million. Now, kids, don't line up. Get your checks out of your pocket. You and I, we can't go buy $395 million a year businesses for $13 million. But Jerry Yang later came in to explain how that was a very good deal, and they got all kinds of goodwill and exposure from it. Yeah, I wasn't too sold on that one either.
That's revenue. That's not.
Yeah, it was only revenue. He did mention, and he had a list of 5 or 6 other businesses that Yahoo has bought since then, where they paid between 3 and 5 times revenues to buy the businesses, which would have been, closer to $1.5 billion here, up to $2 billion versus $13 million, right, which German Mike carries in his checkbook for the weekend. But they didn't think that was a sweetheart deal either, and so that gentleman finished his questions. My favorite guy was the Carpenter from New York, went out there on his own. If any of you know who he was, I'm an ignorant bastard. He's a Carpenter from New York. But if any of you know him or can find him, have him get in touch with me. I'll buy him a steak dinner, beers. I'll pay for his airfare. How about that? He was a great American, a super smart guy. Got up and talked and had questions, brought up issues, right? Mentioned his thoughts on Yahoo and the Microsoft deal. Mentioned some guy Harrington, who was some liberal piece of crap, was up there. He runs a socially responsible investing fund, which at the same time is against Yahoo and their human rights violations purported in China, right? And he got up and gave a nice little speech about that. And then he also didn't mention, and the Carpenter did, which is why we love him and why he's a great American, how this socially responsible investor hypocrite piece of crap is against both carbon fuels and nuclear power, which would kind of seem to be hypocritical, right?
A little bit.
You either want one or you want the other. He's going to take his from both sides. So apparently he thinks we're going to make all our vehicles and heat our homes and power our computers from air. Or maybe we can get the fish to do it for us. And he also mentioned how the New York City controller, who was also a liberal piece of crap, was there and talked about how against human rights violations he was. And the Carpenter got up and said he's against human rights violations too, but that this politician actually couldn't give a crap, right? And that he's just there. He's not a business person. He doesn't have to worry about, he's never been a business person. So he's always been worthless. And it never contributed anything at all to society. And that what he does is he has his staff go and pick out big name companies that he can go talk about and badmouth so that he gets a lot of press, right? Because it's kind of like saying, I'm against people that abuse puppies, right? But you're not in the business, and he doesn't have a business, and it's a big dilemma for Yahoo what to do about revealing or being allowed to function in China or not function in China. And it's not a big deal for a politician who doesn't actually have a real job, right? He's just stealing money from us for doing nothing. Is out there saying you shouldn't be in China, right? And so China right now this week surpassed the U.S. in the number of internet users, right? So they would be the biggest market, right? And supposedly I hear they're growing. So they're going to be an even bigger market, right? And so this piece of crap politician, the New York City controller, right, got up and said Yahoo shouldn't be in China because China does bad things to journalists, which I don't actually think they should do, although some journalists, I'll be happy to give you a list, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for that to happen to them either. But God bless him, and if any of you know that Carpenter, the best steak in New York, the most beers in New York, are on me, or I'll pay for his airfare. So just have him get in touch with me. He was a great American, and he got up and talked about things, and actually made some really relevant points there. And that's our Yahoo shareholder day.
Yeah. Big stuff today.
Yeah, and their webcasting company did a way worse job than WSW would have done. Didn't start automatically. The video and audio were out of sync. Looked like a Kung Fu movie.
It did a little bit. Choppy.
You stole my cow. Anyhow, you guys, we're going to have oodles of great conferences back finally. It's a little oasis in the summer desert for you next week, so we'll have tons of stuff for you beginning Monday. Have a good weekend.
We're here every day at Wall Street Media. You can reach us directly at WSMCO.com. Thanks.